Hi, I'm Kasia Białek. Welcome to 30 Minute Break, the podcast where we dive into the world of science, business, lifestyle, and everything in between. Got just 30 minutes? That's enough to spark new ideas. Let's get started. Today I'm chatting with Kornelia. She's a Pilates instructor, dancer, traveler, and runs her own studio of Pilates in Wrocław, Poland. She is young and seriously living life to the fullest. I'm sure that you are going to love her energy. Let's get into it. Cornelia, how is it to be a 30-year-old businesswoman who owns a Pilates studio in one of the biggest cities in Poland?
Well, it's tough at times, as with any business, I guess. But it's also my conscious decision that I made, fully aware of, all the great things that were gonna come and all the downsides as well. So I'm okay with when it's tough. That's something I can say.
So you were prepared. You knew that it's gonna be very difficult.
Wouldn't say I was prepared. I don't think you can prepare for that. It's like motherhood. I mean, there is only this much you can do to prepare, I guess. So, a business is like a child. And also there is only this much you can read or, just find out to get ready. You start it and then you just learn as you go.
Mm-hmm. I believe that it might be difficult, especially at the beginning. And many people dream of having their own business, but they are afraid of any kind of risk. What were you afraid of at the beginning of your business journey?
Well, that's the thing with me. I'm not afraid of many things. I mean, I was stressed, but I just make a decision and I go with it. And I wouldn't call it fear. No, that's not the term I would use. I would say
Hmm.
stressed and just really, really tired after a while. And I still am and always will be to some extent. But I was not afraid. Because once you've got your own business, just having the business is not the only risk you will have taken. You're going to take many more along the way. So you cannot spend your life just being afraid.
That's very inspiring because I know many, many people who I would say suffer from an imposter syndrome, for example, or they really don't believe in themselves. And they, even if they try, at some point they are not strong enough, I would say, to start. To start, but you did it. So when did you open your Pilates studio in Wrocław?
Well, over 2 years ago, we've just celebrated our second birthday, and I can already tell you, not in much detail, but I can tell you that we will be opening more soon, and hopefully not just in Poland, but around the world as well. So we are expanding. But yeah, I opened 2 years ago.
Ooh, this secret seems very interesting, but okay, you will keep it a secret, right?
For now, I cannot tell you too much, but you will find out soon.
Cornelia, Wrocław is a very dynamic city, and you decided to open your business there. So, what would you say? What factors determine success in such a competitive environment?
Well, understanding understanding marketing and the role it plays. Um, I would say creativeness, dedication, and commitment to detail as well, like attention to detail. In many regards, not just when it comes to the classes themselves, but like, the way the studio's designed, um, the way your customer, yeah, your customer service, the way you treat your customers outside the class as well, the kind of service you provide on every level. Those are some universal factors that determine your success in any field, I guess, not just Pilates.
Hmm. Yeah, nowadays we speak a lot about storytelling, branding, and I truly believe that you managed to create a very good brand Everything seems to be very thought about. You use specific colors, you use specific language when you speak with people. You also have your own podcast to which you invite many inspiring women and people.
including yourself.
Yes, for example. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
just want to tell you guys that Kasia was also a guest on my podcast because she's super inspiring herself. So yeah, thank you for inviting me to yours now.
Thank you, Cornelia. Thank you. As we all know, you just enumerated some factors like marketing, creativity, attention to detail. So nowadays, we would say that it's not only about the best idea and the knowledge about business environment or economy, but all of that behind that makes us stand out, right?
Mm. Yeah, the backstage. Yes. Few people understand that. You may have an amazing product, but so long as you're the only one to know about it, well, it's not going to become, a business really. It's not going to bring you success. You have to know
Mhm.
both how to create an amazing product and how to market it to the world.
And what is Pilates?
Well, it's a method of exercise. Like in a nutshell, it's a method that focuses on your spinal flexibility and your deep muscle strength. So Joseph Pilates, who invented the method, was himself a boxer and a gymnast, and he was also inspired by the way ancient Romans and Greeks used to exercise. And he put all of those inspirations together to create a unique method that focuses on that deep muscle strength, your powerhouse strength, so your deep abdominal and spinal muscles in particular, but it's always a full body workout anyway. And it gives you both strength and mobility and flexibility. And most importantly, what makes it different from all the other methods is the unique apparatuses that he designed, which we still use to this day. So reformers, spine correctors, woundachers, the Cadillac, the leather barrel, all those, which we also have at Pelango Pilates Studio.
And who is it for? Would you recommend it to anybody? To everybody?
Well, basically, yes. I mean, I do believe the world would be a happier place if everybody did Pilates. Because, it's about this. Well, yeah, honestly, because it's about this mind and body and mind connection. It's a workout that is honestly best performed either without music or with super quiet music in the background because you're supposed to concentrate. And when you're on the equipment in particular, you don't want to fall off it. So you have to be concentrated. You have to be focused, and you look for all those principles that Joseph Pilates established. So flow, precision, controlled breathing, breath work is a big part of Pilates. And it really impacts how you perform each exercise. So there are those elements that make it unique and that make it useful to a lot of people, whether you work at an office, at a desk, and you experience a lot of spinal pain or stiffness in your hip flexors or in your shoulders or in your neck. Pilates is for you and it will help you. Whether you're a sports person, an athlete who, say, does a lot of, I don't know, endurance exercises, or if you do weightlifting, for example, well, you need mobility for that. And Pilates will give it to you. And the same applies to dancers who may have great flexibility but may often lack that kind of strength that Pilates builds. It's not enough to do a split. You also need to know how to come back from the split. So you need that inner thigh strength. And I could keep going, athletes of different disciplines, office employees, and really just anybody who wants to feel better.
Yeah, I had the chance to practice Pilates with you. That was an amazing experience. I have nothing to do with sport. I don't really do any sport, but I must admit that it really helped me. It opened my chest. I could
Hmm.
breathe. I felt many muscles that I have never heard about or I have never felt them in my body. It was very nice. It was very nice, and I truly believe that it could help even women who just gave birth, right?
Yes, we have a lot of female clients. Well, not just female, just let's remember a person can be pregnant and be transsexual or non-binary. So let's not call it female clients only. But yeah, basically people after pregnancy or during pregnancy also frequents Pilates studios for a reason. Um, Simply because it's a kind of workout that you can modify in many different ways, and it really gives you plenty of tools to focus on what your client needs, and it gives you those amazing apparatuses to facilitate it. So with pregnant clients, for example, yes, that's exactly what we focus on: chest opening, for instance,
Hmm.
because then once you have that baby and you keep holding it and breastfeeding, well, you're going to be in this crouching position, so we want to open you up and get you ready. And then lots of hip opening exercises, but
Hmm.
also, wants to strengthen your pelvic floor. So there is many things you can do that are very characteristic of Pilates. That is building that inner, that deep muscle strength, and that's also very helpful for people both during pregnancy and after.
You mentioned also that your clients are, for example, office workers. Mm, how does taking care of your health and well-being, as we say today, affect success in business?
Oh, I mean, greatly. We have companies that call us and ask for classes for their employees, because it's a trend now and a very positive one, for companies to actually realize how their employees' well-being affects their performance. And I myself know how I perform at work, and as an owner, as a business owner, I also have a lot of office work to do, and I know how I perform when I've had a workout and when I feel good with my body, and how it looks when I haven't. So for that reason, companies around the world are now investing in their employees' health. And like I said,
Hmm.
we also have companies we collaborate with who organize, for example, lunch breaks with Pilates for their employees, like short workouts that will invigorate them and simply make them feel better. A very good trend, I think.
Yeah, amazing. If my employer listens to this, please, I do want some classes at my office. Cornelia, you're a very inspiring and very open minded person. We know each other in person. I know that you love to travel, you love foreign languages. You also used to teach English in China. And there's a question: how did this experience influence your approach to business and communication with people from different cultures? Did you learn anything about business and Chinese approach to life or business there?
Very interesting question. And I did actually. I mean, at the time, I never thought I would say I learned anything, because there were moments when I hated the experience. But when I look back on it now, I'm actually really grateful. Because, Asians have an incredible work ethic, which at times was driving me crazy. Because, I worked in the Chinese system, and the language school where I worked, where I initially taught both Spanish and English, and then just English because there was more demand. So, at that school, I had to work 6 days a week, including Saturdays and Sundays, when I would work 12 hours a day. And of course, I had fewer hours the other days, but it still felt like a lot. It was definitely more than, these standard 40 hours a week. And it felt like a burden. But
Hmm.
I also I also grew a commitment to what I was doing. And I learned a lot from my colleagues who were showing amazing dedication. Um, and I didn't understand it at the time, but employees in China have the mindset of business owners in a way, in the sense that they put in just as much effort, or maybe not as much, but way more effort, and they are way more dedicated than the average employee anywhere else. because they care. Um, People in Europe, I don't think people in Europe care as much. They go to work, they do what they are supposed to do, they go back home, they forget it, they complain about their work, and they don't seem to appreciate it much. And that's totally different with most, not just Chinese, but I think just generally speaking, Asian people. And I happen to know a few. I have a lot of clients from Korea, for example, as there are
Mm.
some Korean companies based in Wrocław. Those are, by the way, some of the best, like exercising, like, best performing clients in the sense that they are really dedicated to the method. They understand Pilates. It's actually become really popular in South Korea these days. But what I mean is, with Korean companies, they go overboard. That's an extreme also. But when you think about it, the fact that they are able to work so many hours a day and they show up and they want to be part of something bigger and they consider the company they work for, an important organization and something meaningful. They see a meaning in what they do. Now, that's an incredible lesson. And I do think a lot of Europeans could learn from that mindset.
That's very interesting, but it's also important to find some balance in all of that. But of course, we are talking about cultural differences. So thank you for that.
Hmm.
What is the culture behind this sport?
Well, it is a community. I mean, with me at least, with my studio, it's a community. Um, you know, you, as with many sports, I guess, but I see it particularly with my studio. Um, it's always small groups. Pilates isn't really done, in a group of 30 or 40 people. Mostly because, first of all, you want to be true to the method. So you want to pay attention to detail and really be able to assist every client. And also because the equipment, of course, is very expensive. So there is no such thing as a studio that has, I don't know, 30 reformers or, 10 Cadillacs. It doesn't happen. And it's not necessary. So you have small groups of people who get to know each other well, and who become friends. I'm friends with some of my clients, and I'm on friendly terms with everybody. And you can really make it a family. As for the culture, well, there is different types of Pilates also. What I do is classical Pilates. So there is a culture around that. As we try and stay true to the original exercises by Joseph Pilates. He created his own repertoire of over 600 exercises, which we can, of course, modify in different ways, and we do. But we still use the repertoire. And that's the kind of Pilates I fell in love with because it's organized, but that doesn't mean it limits you. It does not. It gives you plenty of possibilities, but it's a structure. And then there is contemporary Pilates, which may often look like fitness classes. I'm not a big fan of that. But when it's done right, I respect that. Just so long as it's, effective and healthy and safe, I'm okay with it. So there is different types of it, and also therefore different communities. I love mine.
Mhm.
I love the classical Pilates one.
Cornelia, me and many people who follow you on the internet, even after this conversation, would say that you're a very dynamic, open-minded person. You are a real multitasker. You developed yourself in several fields. You hold your master's degree in Spanish language, but you decided to do something completely different, something associated with sport. In Poland, it's very common. I know many people who decided to do something completely different that has nothing to do with their studies they finished. And what would you say about that? How is it possible to finish your studies in a field A, but to pursue your career in something completely different?
Well, it feels wonderful because, I'm still using the knowledge and the skills that I got at university. It's not like that went, out the window the moment I started doing Pilates. Um, First of all, I think there is a certain number of careers or fields to study that will be helpful in whatever you decide to do. So for example, learning languages, which you obviously know pretty well, because you're a multilingual person yourself, and you know just how useful it is. Wherever you go in the world, whatever it is that you do, you can expand your business more easily as well if you know different languages. And as a person who studied Spanish, I know for a fact, having also lived in Colombia, for example, myself, that there are certain parts of the world where you just have to know the native language. Because even among, younger people in Latin America, English may not always be that common or that well known. And if you know Spanish, it opens doors for you. So in terms of business, very useful. And also it gives you this kind of polish, like just learning about different cultures, reading, getting to know literature and history. That's very mind opening, I would say. And I really appreciate everything I learned. And also, I do have clients from Spanish speaking countries here in Wrocław.
Hmm.
We actually have a bigger Spanish community here. I even have two Colombian clients, one Argentinian, one Chilean, um, and one client from the Dominican Republic as well. So, I get to speak the language with them, and it makes them feel at ease. And I'm really happy to be able to give it to them so far away from home. So it works, it works. You didn't have to follow the path you chose when you were 18 or 19, because let's be honest, who knows what they want to do for the rest of their lives when they are that age. I didn't know.
Exactly.
I just, right? I mean, I chose to study Spanish because I liked studying languages. And also because I thought, okay, well, I do hope that if I choose this path, and do something I like, I will also have the space to pursue and maybe learn other things outside university. I didn't want to limit myself. So, by choosing something I knew I was going to be good at, I knew I was also going to have the time and space and energy to learn other things. And that's what allowed me to get to know different sports disciplines. So, I went through, CrossFit, through the weightlifting phase, I did yoga, and eventually it all led me to becoming a personal trainer and then a Pilates instructor and to now having my own studio as well.
No limits, only the sky is the limit.
Mm, yeah.
Cornelia, what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs?
Well, I think Jim Collins said that get the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus, and you can decide which way you're going to go later. So just get the right people on the bus. Support yourself with people, surround yourself, sorry, with people who will support you and who you can count on. Like-minded people. Find people who have um skills that you lack and who understand and appreciate yours. Find people you can communicate with easily. And once you have your team, you know, honestly, there is no greater thing than a great team. You just need the right people. And then, you know, um, as an entrepreneur, you just have to realize it's going to suck sometimes. It does more often than it's great. It usually sucks in the sense that you're usually tired. You always have more tasks to do than you have time, and it feels very overwhelming sometimes. And on top of that, if you have ambition and if you want to expand, you cannot possibly believe that you're going to have, like a family life that will be as important. You have to choose. You just have to choose from the start. Either you do a business, you grow a business and you grow it like, you know, it depends on the kind of business you want to have. But if you want a bigger business, you cannot think of yourself, oh, okay, I'm going to be a family person as well. Well, no, you won't be. I don't have children. I've never wanted to. But even if I did, I wouldn't, because I know that's not the kind of life I have. I want to be able to dedicate maybe not 100, but like 95% of all my energy and all my time into building this company and building a unique organization. And if you do that, you just have to choose. So choose your path, stick with it. Don't complain just because it gets hard, because it will always be hard. The best you can do is just surround yourself with the right people and, well, just find this little time and space to take good care of yourself when you can. And just enjoy the process, because there is nothing more fascinating than building something that will last, than creating something from scratch and making it great. So enjoy the struggle, really. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Cornelia.